The distance this storm is from the radar, it's kind of hard to see. So the fact that we have the tornado tag possible and we're seeing the rotation, that's why we're cutting in. Even if you haven't seen the tornado warning yet on your phone, there is the rotation there. And again, there is no update yet from the National Weather Service, but what we do know is that there's a storm that is rotating. It's in kind of a hard spot to see because of its distance from the radar. So to play it safe, and given the rotation that we've seen, there is a decent amount of it on this storm. And again, it's just outside of Decker here, so it's not far from a few populated areas in mid-Michigan.
Absolutely, yeah, and I'd like to pull up just a few more road names here near the Decker area. So looks like we have Snover Road. We also have right into Decker again, near the downtown part of Decker, Decker Road. This is going to be passing by what appears to be Locker Street as well. And then we also have Edler Street, Church Street, and Tremblay Street. That's all right in downtown Decker. That rotation is heading right towards that area. This is going to be passing right near the Lamont Township Hall. If you're located near the Lamont Township Hall, that's going to be another spot where you'll need to head to shelter immediately within the next few minutes. Once again, we'll go back to our warning that we have. The storm, at least the core of the storm, starting to pass right over that county line between Tuscola and Sanilac County. So this is starting to move towards the south and east of DeFord even more. But where we are seeing this warning still, it is including at least some of those eastern sections of Tuscola County, but most of that northern and western section of Sanilac County is still included in this severe thunderstorm warning. Once again, even though there is no tornado warning on this, there is a severe thunderstorm warning that has that tornado possible tag. And with that tornado possible tag, that's the reason why we are cutting into your programming. We'd rather just play this safe as the storm is moving through the central and eastern portions of the thumb. Kyle, right now we're still watching the storm. It's moving right between Shabona and Lamont. This looks like at least the heaviest rainfall is going to be moving towards the Moore area as well. So we're still right between M53 and M19.
Yep, hold on, quick. We just got our tornado warning update here.
Okay.
Or at least it appeared here for a moment on my screen.
Oh, I have it here too.
Did it come up? There it goes. Okay.
Alrighty, brand new information as Kyle just first alerted you to. We have a tornado warning now for Sanilac and that eastern edge of Tuscola County.
I can read it out here for you, Matt.
Yep, go ahead.
It's a tornado warning for east central Tuscola County and southeastern Michigan, central Sanilac County and southeastern Michigan. This goes until 3:15 p.m. and at 2:16 p.m. a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado, as we have been watching, has been located near Kingston or 9 miles north of Marlette, moving east at 25 miles per hour. The hazard here, again, because of the rotation, a tornado is possible, and we also have some quarter-sized hail that's been radar indicated in this as well. So please, if you are in the path of this storm, if you see yourself here on this map within this red box, what you need to do is find the most interior room on the lowest floor of a building. Wherever you are, try to do that as quick as possible. If you know somebody within this area, try to alert them to the fact that, yes, we do have a tornado warning ongoing now. So again, this is a severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Tuscola County and Sanilac County, and this goes until 3:15 p.m. It's gone from the severe thunderstorm warning that we were just watching that had the tornado possible tag, meaning that there was some rotation, not necessarily the tightest rotation, but there was some there, to now it's been upgraded to a tornado warning. And Matt, you can see that rotation right there.
Absolutely. I'm going to highlight this rotation with these arrows. So this rotation is just to the south of the Lamont area. And kind of like we were mentioning too, we saw over the last few minutes that rotation was starting to tighten up even more, which has now resulted in this tornado warning that we are seeing. It looks like we actually just have, is that a brand new tornado warning as well?
So this is the original here one, and then we do have what appears to possibly be a small secondary area of rotation. This is a little bit back off to the west here. It is just currently to the south and east by a few miles of Caro, just to the north and west of Dayton. So this is still outside. It is not tornado warned, but something kind of like how we cut in originally for, something we're going to keep an eye on here. But yes, the ongoing circulation that we are keeping an eye on here is between, right now, it looks like Hemans and Decker, right in that area there, north of Blairwood. That's where we're keeping an eye on this area of rotation. It doesn't look to be over anything too, it's a little sparse of an area here, but it looks like it is currently just to the east of North Van Dyke Road, and between that and about Decker Road, I think, is where you could put the center of that rotation right now. And again, Matt, going forward, this is a actual tornado warning.
Absolutely, yes. And Kyle, I've got a few new cities pleased to locate on here with our cone as well. So this storm is moving to the east at 25 miles per hour. So it is a bit more of a slower moving storm. We'll see this moving into the Moore area and at about 2:30. So we're about 10 minutes away from there. Moore Church also at 2:30. We have 2:33 for Elmer School. Sandusky City at 2:43. Sandusky itself at 2:45. And then Scott School at 2:48 p.m. We've still been watching the rotation on this, and I'm going to head over to the other rotation that Kyle had just been mentioning as well. Those two locations that we are watching. Now, the other area of rotation does not have a warning on it yet, but it is pretty evident on the map right now, just over to the south and to the east of Cairo.
Yeah, so what we're going to do here, pull up the green screen here for us, Director. Thank you. So essentially what we're keeping an eye on here is this area of rotation that is currently just a few miles to the south and southeast of Cairo, and that I believe we also had, yeah, there's the forward there, so you can kind of triangulate yourself there. Can you zoom in a little bit on that second one at the moment, just to give a quick update on where this is here. So again, it's just a few miles outside of Cairo here. East Dayton Road is that right there. So it's the red and the green mixing together. We've got winds coming towards the screen and winds going away from the screen right here. So it's not tornado warned just yet, but we do still have that second circulation. Matt, can we go back to that other circulation that we're keeping an eye on? And this one is tornado warned. This is what we originally cut in for, a very strong supercell thunderstorm here. And again, this tornado warning goes for 3:15 for parts of eastern Tuscola and parts of northern Sanilac County. And right there, the red and the green that you can see mixing just south of Lamont here, and there's Hemans there as well. It is currently just to the east of Hemans, moving off in this direction. Matt, can you pause it here for just 1 second? So again, it's the red here and the greens that's mixing together. That's a sign of rotation in the cloud, and that is why this storm is currently tornado warned. Again, the circulation here is just between Lamont and Hemans, right down to the south of both of those towns, continuing to move off to the south and east. So Matt, that again, it's a pretty, it's definitely a stronger couplet than what we've seen. And the other thing to keep in mind here, of course, as we've been saying, it's a pretty decent distance from the radar, so it's a little bit harder to keep an eye on exactly what's going on right near the ground. So the fact that we're seeing this above the ground is definitely something to keep an eye on.
Absolutely, Kyle. Yeah, once we get out into the thumb, the radar beam from the Detroit radar that's located in White Lake starts to become several thousand feet above the ground. So the fact that we are seeing this rotation that far above the ground could indicate that we could even have some stronger rotation within that few thousand feet right above ground level. So once again, this is why we're still seeing this on our rotation tracker and our radar right now. And I'd like to head back over to our wind shear tracker once again. I'm going to move this over into the map where we are seeing that rotation right near the Lamont area. It looks like our wind shear has been slowing down, but this wind shear map, what this is showing you is the tightest area of rotation within this storm. It is still moving towards the east at about 25 miles per hour, so I will put another cone on this once again. So at 25 miles per hour, we'll take this out to about M19. Looks like we'll reach M19 in about 15 minutes. That puts Moore in there at 2:33 this afternoon, and then it puts Moore Church in at 2:34. Kyle, one thing that I am watching with that storm towards Cairo, looks like we are seeing some stronger rotation and even more tightening rotation with that as well.
Yes, and I think here in the last scan map, both of these storms have started to pick up a little bit. So yes, we currently do not have a tornado warning for this storm that is outside of Cairo, but I do want to just make everyone aware that if you are near any of these roads, not necessarily if you live on this road, if you're near any of these roads, I would do your best to also kind of put yourself in the lowest interior room if you can here. Matt, I'm going to back this map out as we've just got a new scan here. And again, what we're keeping an eye on, these brighter colors here, this is the rotation or potential rotation that we're seeing here near Dayton and Daytona Beach. Again, this is just outside of Cairo by a few miles and will continue to move away from Cairo. And again, this is not currently tornado warned, but Matt, it is definitely rotating.
Absolutely, Kyle. Do you think, Kyle, you could zoom in on this rotation here just a little bit more north of Daytona Branch that we're seeing?
I said beach, branch, yes.
Yes, thank you, Kyle. Once again here, so this is our wind shear map. This is showing where we have the tightest rotation within this thunderstorm. So we just saw this moving over a Dayton Road. Right here we have Bevins Road. That continues off towards the east, and then we have Daytona Branch right there. If you're located just to the north of Daytona Branch, to the north of East Bevins Road, you're going to have this rotation moving right through here. This thunderstorm is at least going to be capable of producing a tornado, so we are still first alerting you to this potential. If you're located anywhere here, you're going going to want to head to shelter that inner and centermost part of your home or your dwelling. Just try to put as many walls between you and the exterior of your home and stay away from windows as well. Kyle, looks like we actually just have a brand new severe thunderstorm warning on that.
So this is now, hold on, I stepped away from the computer for a moment. This is I can read this off. This is a new severe thunderstorm warning. This is for the Caro storm that we were talking about. And let's see, yes, so essentially what we have here is a severe thunderstorm that is located near Caro, moving east at 30 miles per hour. It's got 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and potentially some nickel-sized hail. It is not a tornado warning, but it is a severe thunderstorm warning that does have the tornado possible tag on it. And that's, again, what we were keeping an eye on with this initial tornado warning. So essentially a recap here. Matt, you want to go ahead and zoom that out real fast, kind of get the big picture. There's that severe thunderstorm warning. We've got two storms that we're keeping an eye on for you right now. One of them is a tornado warning. The other one is a severe thunderstorm warning. The severe thunderstorm warning is now just outside of Caro, and the tornado warning here is just outside of Decker, and it does include parts of eastern Tuscola and northern Sanilac counties. Matt, can we look at just the warnings here without the radar on them? You can see two very strong storms, but again, if you find yourself within any of these polygons here, the red or the yellow ones, it's a good idea to seek some shelter here. And again, there's that tornado warning in red. The severe thunderstorm warning is in yellow, but we're also keeping an eye on that second severe thunderstorm warning back off to the west there that does include parts of Kingston there. That one also does have some rotation on it, Matt, so we're keeping a close eye on both of these storms. If you have an alert going off on your phone for a severe thunderstorm warning or a tornado warning, you should be seeking shelter in the most interior room on the lowest floor of a building.
Absolutely, Kyle. Once again, I'm going to zoom back into our storm that's right near the Caro area, just once more, specifically to the east of Caro. This is near Daytona Branch. I'm going to pull our rotation back up on the storm. We've still been watching the rotation, and we are seeing still a fairly decent couplet. We call this a couplet on our rotation tracker, where you have that red and that green right next to each other. So it's in the center of that red and green where there would potentially be rotation with the storm. And like Kyle mentioned, the severe thunderstorm warning for the storm that's moving right near Daytona Branch does have a tornado possible tag on this, and that certainly is what we're seeing here on our rotation tracker. With this rotation, it is definitely possible that we could see some rotation out of this. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on this just a bit more to try to get a few more street names for this rotation that's moving right near Daytona Branch right now. This is going to, I'll go ahead and pause this as well. So we're seeing our rotation right near around Herds Corner Road and Riley Road. This is going to be heading towards James Road, Plain Road, also just to the north of Bevins Road. We also have Frode Road in there and Mushroom Road. So once again, if you're located near any of these locations, these are also Dodge Road there. This is in the eastern parts of Tuscola County. You'll need to be heading to shelter right now.
Okay, Matt, real quick, can we look back at the other storm here, the tornado warning, because we are seeing it move around a little bit, and thankfully you can see our colors aren't quite as bright as they were just a few minutes ago. So as you can see here on the rotation tracker, we've kind of had a little bit of separation between the red and the green. What that suggests to us is that the rotation hasn't necessarily weakened, but it's gotten broader, and so that means it's not as organized. So this is a good sign for us. We want this to happen, and it is currently, again, moved past Lamont here. You could draw the area of rotation right in the middle of this, and so that's essentially what we're keeping an eye on. It is now currently just a few miles to the south and west of Moore. Thank you, Matt. So this is the area of rotation that we're keeping an eye on, and the direction of this is roughly off to the south and to the east, so kind of towards me here. That's what we're keeping an eye on. So it'll be headed down towards M46 here within the next couple of minutes. That's M46 and eventually the corner there of M46 and M19. If you are anywhere within that area, again, this is the rotation on the original tornado warned storm that we're keeping an eye on. It should continue to move off to the south of Lamont and away from Lamont here, and then eventually we've got a couple more towns here pulled up too, Matt. We're looking at Snover here, Urban, and Elmer. It'll continue to pass off in that direction, so we are keeping an eye on those areas. If you've got a tornado warning on your phone, if you find yourself on one of our maps here, it's a good idea to be in the most interior room on the lowest floor of a building.
Absolutely. Kyle, I'm going to put another cone on this rotation just to kind of update you on a few timings for these towns as well. So this storm is still moving to the east at around 25 miles per hour, so we'll go right into about the center of that rotation, and we just got a brand new scan, so we'll go ahead and redo our cone once again. I'll actually put our wind shear map on here too. This is our even more high resolution rotation tracker, and this really shows us where we are possibly seeing some rotation, even possibly a tornado within the severe thunderstorm. Still moving to the east around 25 miles per hour, so we're taking this past M19. We're now starting to approach the Sandusky area, so I'll take this out to 30 30 minutes from now. We have this near Moore Church by around 2:36 this afternoon, so that's about 7 minutes from now. 2:39 for Elmer School, that's 10 minutes from now. Sandusky City at 2:49, Sandusky at 2:51, and then Scott School at 2:54 p.m. This warning still does go until the past the 3 p.m. hour, and we're still watching this rotation. It's just to the north of M36, or rather M46, and this is in the central and northern parts of Sanilac County at the moment. I will say over into the eastern parts of Tuscola County, this storm, if you're originally near the DeFord area where the storm really started going initially, we haven't seen too much in the way of active weather, at least near DeFord at the moment. We still have some heavy rain moving through there, but that other area of rotation that we are tracking towards Daytona Branch, that has still been going at the moment. We are still seeing some rotation on that, and that severe thunderstorm is also still posing a tornado possible tag. So that rotation now passing by Daytona Branch. This is also crossing right over Bevins Road, starting to head over towards Silvernail Road. We also have English Road, Dorrance Road, Phillips Road, once again, and Howard Street. So we're starting to get even more into the eastern portions of Tuscola County.
Real quick, I want to jump in here on the original tornado warn storm. We may have a small area of kind of reorganizing of this shear. If you kind of back it out here a little bit, as you can see, there's more red and green now very close to each other compared to the last time we looked at it. It's just currently outside of Lamont here is what we're keeping an eye on, that area of green that has kind of gotten brighter in the last few minutes here. And that's essentially what we're keeping an eye on as far as the reds and greens kind of mixing together for us. And the fact that we have just recently kind of seen this get a little bit brighter means the winds there are faster for us. And so the rotation here is not yet done. It may have weakened there for a second. Sometimes these can cycle. At this time, there is no indication that we have anything on the ground. What we do have here is a rotating cloud base. It's got some decent rotation on it. Not the tightest rotation I've ever seen. I don't think it's within minutes of producing a tornado, but we, again, still have a tornado warning on this for this rotation. Again, it is currently between Lamont and Moore, continuing to move off to the south and east. It's going to continue to go down towards M19, the intersection of M19 and M46 here. And again, the last scan, we've seen a little bit of an increase in rotation there, Matt. So I think that we might have not necessarily a strengthening, but more of a cycling with this initial storm here for us. So we're keeping an eye on that. And again, that's the original tornado warn storm. And here's a look at a path here for it. Again, eventually continuing towards the Sandusky area. This is probably the most populated city down there. So if you're in one of the smaller towns, if you are near Sandusky, this is a storm that you're going to want to keep an eye on here. And again, here's a look at some times here for you. If you know where Moore Church is, 2:35 p.m. is the approach time for that, which is coming up here in just a few minutes. And then Sandusky City at 2:48 p.m. and then McGregor at just about 3 o'clock there. So again, keeping an eye on this area of rotation, which within the last scan does seem to have strengthened a little bit for us. And again, Matt, from what I'm looking at here, there's no indication that there's anything on the ground for us right now, which is a good thing. And at the moment, it just looks like we have some broad rotation that is capable of picking up for us as we kind of move through the next few minutes here. That's why we're keeping a very close eye on it.
Absolutely, Kyle. And we're also seeing some hail spikes out of this. I'm real quickly going to go to our correlation coefficient. This is more or less also a debris tracker, but this is just showing that where we're seeing these spikes, I'll go ahead and pause the map and kind of outline these here, where we're seeing these spikes on our map, where you're seeing these lines that are approaching, or rather going away from the storm, that have the yellows in them. That is indicating that there's ice within the storm, so that would indicate that we're seeing some hail within the storm as well. I'm going to bring up our hail tracker just to see if we can see any hail on this, and it is picking up on some hail for us at the moment. I'm going to have to turn off our warning outlines just for 1 second so that we can pull up our hail size, potentially seeing some hail around 1/2 inch in diameter, possibly even greater than that too. So there is hail along with these winds that we're seeing, these gusty winds, rotating winds too. And once again, with the rotation within the storm, it is possible that we could have a tornado forming from the severe thunderstorm as well.
And one thing that I'm thinking here is we saw the hail spikes there on the radar, more of a technical thing, right? But those also could be just because there's so much of the hail. It might not be very big, but there could be a lot of it falling out of the storm right now. So that's just another impact, more of the heavy rain, some of that hail, and also, of course, your typical heavy rain and lightning and things of those natures. But again, still, we do have a tornado warning for parts of Sanilac County. It does look like it's been updated now, right, Matt? It's now only in Sanilac County.
Yes.
Again, so that is including, if you are in Deckerville, I think right now you're probably going to be on the safe side, but you're still included in that tornado warning. Sandusky is included in that tornado warning, as is Croswell. well, and a couple other towns here. It does go all the way to the Lake Huron shoreline, so we're looking at Forester, also parts of Applegate here, and Port Sanilac, Carsonville, Lexington, Croswell, Cache. Let's see if we can pull out any more in here. Lamont, you're just about safe with this initial tornado warning here. And again, we also have these other severe thunderstorm warnings back here, and these are for some stronger storms, not necessarily posing an imminent tornado threat, but we have been watching some rotation on these storms that has kind of caught our eye. And again, that's why we initially cut in before we even had the tornado warning, was because we were watching some rotation that was interesting us as far as potentially becoming enough to produce a tornado. The most recent scan here of our tornado warned storm does look like, again, we might have some cycling going on for us. The rotation has since kind of dropped off a little bit, and this is a good thing for us. This means that the storm isn't necessarily ready to produce a tornado right now. It doesn't mean that it won't be here in the near future, so we are, again, keeping a close eye on this right now. And we do still have the small area of rotation that was coming out of Caro and is continuing to move towards the DeFore, Lamont, and Dayton area, so we are continuing to watch that.
Absolutely, and we're just getting word, too, that we have our Birch Run camera pointed in the direction of these storms. We'd like to take that. We can certainly see the storms out there. This is, again, looking east, pretty much from Birch Run towards where these storms are, right around M46, the Kingston area, eastern Tuscola County, and the western parts of Sanilac County, too. So these are the storms that we're continuing to watch. Certainly is going to be a much darker sky if you're near Kingston, M46, and M53 as of right now. Kyle has another update here.
Yeah, so we've got a quick storm report here, and so we were talking about some heavy rain. This is a 3-hour total rainfall from from Unionville, actually, and it is 1.2 inches within the last 3 hours. So this is a very heavy storm here. So you know, whether or not you're under one of the tornado warnings or the potential area of rotation here, we still have some pretty heavy rain and some hail coming from this. So there are still threats with these storms, but again, still keeping an eye on some of the rotation that we have out there as well.
Absolutely. I'll go ahead back over to our tornado warm storm once again. So if you're located just to the south of Moore, this is right near M19 and M46 where those junction. We are still seeing the rotation from that storm. Looks like it is still a bit more of a broad rotation, but certainly rotation nonetheless, something that, or rather from a storm that is still capable of producing a tornado. And now, Kyle, it's looking like this rotation is heading right towards the M19 intersection where it also runs right near Sandusky, starting to head down into that direction. I'm going to put this in motion once again. This tornado warning goes until 3:15 this afternoon, where we do have that rotation though, and with the storm moving, I'm going to add a few more towns back to our timing list once again. We'll take this out about half an hour.
As far as we're saying M14, M19, if you're not familiar with those road names, it's actually West Sanilac Road for anybody listening here, and Ubley Road, and that intersection is where Elmer is. So that's what we're keeping an eye as far as some town names there for you.
Perfect. Thank you, Kyle. And yes, we have Elmer School actually showing up on our timing list. That's right now Woodland Hills Golf Club. A couple of points of interest here too. Woodland Hills Golf Club, that's at 2:46. Sandusky right around 2:48. So in about 10 minutes, you'll see the rotation from the storm moving through. If you're in Sandusky, you'll want to be heading to your safe spot right now. We have Black River School at 3 p.m., then Butler School at 3:02 p.m. This storm is starting to turn a little bit even more towards the south and east, so sort of a south-southeast motion for us, still moving right around 25 to 30 miles per hour.
Can we go back and look at the original, or the second storm rather, and kind of point it down just a little bit here towards Kingston? So what we've seen is we were watching the area of rotation come out of Caro there for a time, and then it started to move off to the south and east. But now what we're seeing actually is this kind of shift a little bit more to the south, and so where Kingston is here, you can see the red and greens are mixing. Now, right now, I don't necessarily think this is rotation. I think what we might have is a strong flow of air, of wind from this storm coming down a little bit, but what that could do is cause some turbulence. So we're keeping a close eye, and this is kind of similar to what happened with the last tornado warned storm, where we were first not really seeing rotation, but then it developed into rotation. And again, this is moving towards Kingston. Can we zoom this out just a little bit here? I want to see exactly where we're going to go in the future here with this. It will eventually move into northern, looks like more than likely it'll continue towards the southeast there into Sanilac County. So it'll likely stay out of parts of Lapeer County, at least this particular area area of interest that we're keeping an eye on as it moves down towards Kingston here. And again, what we have right now, again, we've got a tornado warning for parts of Sanilac County and a severe thunderstorm warning also for parts of Sanilac County and a severe thunderstorm warning. Actually, Matt, we just got a new severe thunderstorm warning here. It looks like for parts of Tuscola and Lapeer. This might also include parts of Genesee. Let's see. Yes, it does. So this is a severe thunderstorm warning for southeastern Tuscola County, northern Lapeer County, and northeastern Genesee County until 4 p.m. And it's because we've got a severe thunderstorm located over Otter Lake near Millington, moving east at 25 miles per hour. So it's a 60-mile-per-hour wind gust threat with a quarter-sized hail. This one does not currently have a tornado tag on it, so that is a good sign with this storm. Of course, we are still keeping an eye on some of the small areas that we've been watching for potential rotation here. So kind of to sum up what we're keeping an eye on here, right? We've got the large severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Tuscola, the very northeast corner there of Genesee and northern Lapeer counties. We've also got a tornado warning for parts of Sanilac, another severe thunderstorm warning for Sanilac, and another one for Tuscola. So a lot going on for us, but we're keeping a close eye on it.
Absolutely. Things have been picking up here pretty quickly. We have our disturbance moving through. It's that slight shift in the wind that has been causing these storms to really fire up. We also have some heat and some humidity building out there. This is the reason why we're seeing this activity firing up. Like Kyle mentioned earlier, if you are getting one of these alerts and you're located, say, in places like Otisville, even Deerfield Township, those northern parts of Lapeer County, it's a good idea to still head to shelter right now as we do have these storms passing through. And this larger warning that we're seeing that does include Otisville, Deerfield Township, Millington, Mayville, even Goodland and Brown City. There is no tornado possible tag on that, but as Kyle was also mentioning earlier, we still are going to see some turbulence from that storm. Some stronger wind gusts near 60 miles per hour are certainly still going to be possible.
Matt, can we go ahead and go back to the tornado warned storm real quick? I want to take a look at the rotation here again as we're getting some new updates, some new scans in from the radar, and zoom in here as we're kind of getting close to Sandusky. What we've noticed here in the last couple of scans is the red and green has really kind of, there's not a tight focusing of that red and green. So that's the winds in different directions, the different colors there. And when they're not focused, that means we don't have very strong rotation. You can still see that we have a little bit of red here and a little bit of green, but it's not very tight. So we do still have some broad rotation, and it looks like right now, this is Sandusky. It just passed right over Elmer. Will likely continue just off by a few miles to the south and east. And Matt, looks like we might have just gotten an update there to the tornado warning, likely just kind of squeezing it down a little bit. So areas back off to the west here that were previously in that tornado warning are now in the safe zone after this rotation has moved out of the area. So we can take a look at that, Matt. This likely will head down towards, it looks like M19 there, continuing off to the south and east, and it might pass near Cache there as well. Again, this is in Sanilac County, and this is the tornado warning that we have for an area of rotation on a severe thunderstorm that we're keeping a close eye on.
Yeah, this tornado warning, like Kyle just mentioned too, we did see the scaled back, at least the western edge of that warning scaled back just a bit, but this warning still goes until 3:15 this afternoon. It's only for Sanilac County at this point. The core of that rotation has just moved to the south of M46 and is moving towards, moving south and west of Sandusky right now. Still expected to cross over M19 once again, and it is going to be heading towards that Cache area. I would like to zoom out here, and I'm going to put another cone on the storm just to see a few new times and locations for the rotation that we are tracking with this tornado warned storm here in Sanilac County. So I'll go ahead and take this out about 30 minutes. Actually, I'll include Applegate, so we'll take this out right to about 40 minutes from now. We have a few new locations to bring to you with this rotation. So we have 252 is when this is expected to move near Crowley Field, 258 for Lynch School, 303 for Butler School, 305 for Washington School, then Applegate School at 312. We have Applegate at 314, Odium School at 318, and then Arnold Field at 320. So if you recognize any of these points of interest, if you live near them too, this rotation is still going to be moving towards you, and you are going to want to head to shelter within the next handful of minutes as the storm is tornado warned. We're still seeing that rotation there, so it is still capable of producing a tornado right here into the central parts of Sanilac County. So once again, we're right right near Sandusky, just to the south and west of Sandusky with that rotation as of right now. And this is expected to move right back over M19 once again. For heading to shelter, you'll want to head to the centermost and lowest part of your house or your shelter or dwelling. Just try to put as many walls between you and the exterior of your building as possible, and stay away from any windows as well. If you are, if your house doesn't have a basement, again, it's just that centermost room in the house. Typically, that's going to be your first floor bathroom. That's usually one of the safest places, as that does typically have many walls between it and the outside of your house. Certainly some debris is still going to be possible just with the winds that are moving through here.
Absolutely.
Some stronger wind gusts, still between around 55 and 60 miles per hour. And this is not the only storm we're watching too.
Yeah, there's a lot out there.
Yes,
right
we
now.
still are seeing things picking up quite a bit into the northern parts of Lapeer County, southeastern Tuscola County as well. We're going to head back to the maps here, and we'll go ahead and show you those other storms that we are watching for us. So we have our warning that still includes Millington, Otisville, Mayville, Deerfield Township, Clifford, just to the edge, the western edge of Brown City, and Goodland. That storm here, I'm going to bring up our velocity data on that once again, just to try to get a better picture of some of the wind speeds that we could possibly be seeing with this right now. Looks like Kyle is picking out something with our map as well.
It looks like we might have a new severe thunderstorm warning here. Let me double check this. It looks like, okay, so this is actually for the southern branch. So this is actually not part of mid-Michigan right now, but this goes to show how large it is as far as this threat for severe weather at the moment. This is for Livingston County, but it is still a part of the line of storms that we're watching right now. So the false alarm there as far as on our end, but that is just outside of Michigan there, as you can see way down there by Brighton. But yeah, still keeping an eye on these showers and storms that we have moving through. Again, we do have a tornado warning, and that area of rotation has weakened quite a bit here in the last couple of minutes. It looks like it's gotten disorganized. I still think the storm does pose a threat for us, but at this time, I don't think there's an immediate danger with the storm.
Absolutely, and I'm going to go ahead and pull up our rotation tracker. Well, we already have our rotation tracker here, but our wind shear, this just gives us an even better idea of that rotation, where we could be seeing some tight rotation. And Kyle, indeed, it does look like that rotation that's just to the south and west of Sandusky has been weakening, at least the rotation itself just a bit. We're still seeing rotation out of this, so certainly a threat, but at least these are maybe some good signs for us.
Right, and what we look for on this wind shear map is more of a ball, I guess, of the brighter colors, not necessarily, and it's got to be a large enough ball, but here we kind of have they're kind of all over the place. We've got different, the brighter colors at different sections of the storm here, so that would suggest that the wind shear is very disorganized for us right now. But again, it is still tornado warned for us right now, and that does include parts of Sanilac County. So if you had that warning go up on your phone, or if you see yourself anywhere in these maps, it's a good idea that you find yourself in the lowest floor of a building in the most interior room. Get yourself in the most interior room, because that'll put as many walls between you and the outside of your building as possible.
As always, and I want to add to at the top of our screen, we still have the warning information scrolling there, so you can still find that information. There are some timings listed within there. You can also head to WNEM.com, the weather alerts section. That is also where you can find information about these warnings, and the First Alert Weather app. You're able to get real-time warnings and track the radar yourself right on your phone. I'm going to go ahead and take us back over towards that eastern part of Tuscola County and western Sanilac County, pretty much right on the county line once again. And Kyle, noticing here in our wind shear map, we are seeing some tightening there, at least indicating some turbulence and some stronger winds again.
Right, yes, and especially in the severe thunderstorm warnings, we've been keeping an eye out on how we do have some stronger wind in this, not necessarily tornado related, but we are keeping an eye out on some of the stronger wind gusts that we're seeing here. And in the line that you're seeing here on your screen, that is the chance for there to be some stronger wind gusts going through here. That's from about Mayville up towards Coltland here, and then eventually off towards just to the east there of Kingston. So we're keeping a close eye on that. As far as the rotation goes, there is a little bit of what could be some turbulence here on this line, but when you're seeing the really bright green colors, that's probably just strong outflow. So you're probably going to get a wave of the stronger winds with this storm moving through. And again, these are the storms that are currently severe thunderstorm warned, and not necessarily tornado warned. And again, that's for the stronger wind gusts and some of the hail in there. We've also got a lot of heavy rain moving through. An update here on the tornado warned storm. We're not seeing a whole lot as far as any recent organization from this. It was pretty organized for a time when we first got on. There was some pretty tight rotation that did suggest that a tornado was imminently possible. I think we've kind of gotten away from that a little bit here. So no all clear yet. Certainly no all clear. Certainly do still have that tornado warning, and we certainly do still have a storm with a little bit of rotation on it. It's not too strong, and it currently currently it's just a couple miles outside of Sandusky, more than likely to the west, southwest here. That area of rotation is, and it should continue to move off to the south and east here towards M19 here. And this is the area of rotation where the reds and greens are mixing a little bit for us, and it'll continue to move off towards M19 there through Sanilac County.
Absolutely, Kyle. And going back to that other area that we were watching here too, where we see a lot of those bright greens on the map closer to that southeastern corner of Tuscola County. So as Kyle was mentioning, may not be as much rotation there, but that's certainly a good burst of wind. Very likely some straight line winds there that are going to be possible near around 60 miles per hour for those gusts. If you're north of Marlette, right along the M53 corridor and just to the south of M19, so in that western section of Sanilac County, you are going to want to still head inside. There are some very strong winds headed your way with those wind gusts that are very likely, again, right near 60 miles per hour. That strongest core of those wind gusts has just started to move over to the east of Kingston. And once again, it's heading towards that junction of M53 and M46. And wind gusts that are this strong are certainly possible of blowing over some trees, at least some tree limbs, possibly even power lines too, and certainly anything loose that might be out in your yard.
Yeah, so the suggestion here, Matt, by the radar data is we might have gusts about 50 to 60 miles per hour. So that's getting close to that severe thunderstorm range there, and that's what the radar is keeping an eye on right now. Again, look at where we are with these storms. They're pretty strong at the time, producing a lot of heavy rain, also some hail in there. And again, we do still have that severe thunderstorm warning and the tornado warning ongoing for parts of mid-Michigan. Now, we do want to point out one thing here. We do not currently have a tornado warning for this storm down here near Otisville, north of Richfield, and it is currently just off to the east here of Clio, continuing to move off to the east here. Keeping an eye on this storm because just like when we initially cut in here, it does appear that we have some rotation on this. I'm going to pull up our rotation tracker, and we're going to, let me pause this here for you real quick. We're keeping an eye on this storm down here near Otisville, and what we have is an area with more of the red and green. Now, it's not very strong. It's not as bright as some of the reds and greens we saw in the previous storm. I don't think it's too strong just yet, but it's the fact that they're kind of concentrated and close together. So again, no tornado warning on this right now, but we are keeping an eye on an interesting area of the storm that might gradually become a little bit more of a danger here as we go through the next few minutes.
Absolutely, and like you've seen so far this afternoon, these storms do have a bit of a history of turning this rotation into potentially a tornado. I want to highlight this rotation that we're seeing once again. The green is wind that's heading towards the south and the west. This red is wind that's heading towards the north and the east. Right near Otisville is where we're seeing this potential rotation moving through right over the sections of M57, M15, even down towards Wilson Road, Dodge Road, and Washburn Road. This right here, Washburn Road, this is that county line in the eastern parts of Genesee County and the western parts of Lapeer County here too. Once again, this is also going to be heading towards at least the Columbiaville area or in the vicinity of Columbiaville. So if you're located once again near that Dodge Road area and just to the south and the east of Otisville, this is in eastern Genesee County, you'll want to be on the lookout for this rotation. Head to shelter now as this storm does still have this rotation and certainly some stronger wind gusts. Kyle, looks like we actually
there's a new scan there.
Brand new scan there on that storm.
And hold on, looks like we've got something coming in here. This is, let me double check to make sure this is for our area here. This is for, yes, southern Sanilac County. This is a new severe thunderstorm warning. So you want to jump back over to Sanilac real quick. It's a new severe thunderstorm warning. This is for the stronger wind gusts that we were talking about, the straight line winds coming out of Tuscola County there. See the bright greens there? That's the strong straight line wind rather. And this is a large severe thunderstorm warning, including much of Tuscola County for you right there, or rather Sanilac County for some of those winds, 50 to 60 miles per hour. And this still also does have a tornado warning for Sanilac County as well right now as well. And again, the rotation here has weakened quite a bit on it, but we're still keeping a close eye.
Absolutely. So like Kyle just mentioned, where we saw those stronger bursts of wind that's heading right over M53 in western Sanilac County, those wind gusts are heading towards the south and the east. So right near the Marlette area and just to the north of Marlette, so pretty much between Marlette and M46, that's where we're seeing that new severe thunderstorm warning. That severe thunderstorm warning goes until 3:45 this afternoon. So we still have right around 53 minutes left on that. And the tornado warning, that is still valid until 3:15. The tornado warning is only for Sanilac County, but it does include Sandusky, Applegate, Deckerville. You are not included within that tornado warning. That storm is one that we're still watching, and it does have rotation on it too, but at least we have seen that rotation still staying just fairly more broad for us. So not exactly a tight rotation at the moment, but that rotation starting to move just just to the south of Sandusky and right over M19. And Kyle, looks like that rotation is still moving right near the Cache area, just to the north of Cache as well.
And one thing I want to point out here is that while we might not have the bright greens, we do start to see this area just to the south and southwest of Sandusky that has started to pick up a little bit more of that kind of tight gradient there between the green and the red, even if it's not too strong. So what that likely means for us, because this air here in the red is flowing into the storm, and the green here is air flowing around the end of the storm here. So what we do have is some amount of rotation still in this tornado warned storm, and the area of rotation is just a couple of miles. It's probably right over M19 right now, just to the south of Sandusky. We'll continue to track, just a couple of miles there to the south of Sandusky, continuing to move off in this direction. As you can see, we have the severe thunderstorm warning line here and the tornado warning line, that black line. You can kind of trace right down through here is probably more than likely where that's going to continue to track. Matt, can we go back to our full map of the warnings right now so we can kind of wrap up where we are at the moment? Again, we do have a tornado warning for parts of mid-Michigan. That is the red box here. That includes parts of Sanilac County. That goes all the way to the Lake Huron shoreline. And then we do have 2 large severe thunderstorm warnings in place for parts of Sanilac, parts of southern Tuscola, northern Lapeer, and far northeastern Genesee. And again, 1 tornado warning for us right now, Matt, this one right here. But we are keep an eye on a couple other areas that are a little bit on the suspicious side, we'll say, at this time. And again, that tornado warning right there for Sanilac County does go until 3:15 p.m. So we're going to continue to track that until that tornado warning is gone.
Absolutely. And Kyle, I want to go back to our that larger severe thunderstorm warning that we're seeing that includes many parts of the southern and western parts of Sanilac County. I'm going to go back over to our wind velocity map here just to show you some of these stronger winds that we're still seeing, that burst of wind. I'll actually head over to our rotation tracker on this too, and this is still indicating some stronger straight line winds that are possible just to the north of Marlette, crossing over M53 right now, and this is just to the south of M46. Once again, right near M53 and M46. I'm going to pull up some of our wind speeds with this too, once again, just to give you an idea of how strong some of these winds are with the storm that's moving through right now. This is just to the north of Marlette, once again, right near M53, indicating that some wind gusts are still going to be possible, at least between 50 and 60 miles per hour. That's more of a straight line wind.
So Matt, one thing that we're keeping an eye on, obviously we've got the tornado warning right now and some other stronger storms. There is one storm here near Otisville that is particularly strong at the moment. There's no tornado warning on this, so I think it's a good idea for us to touch back in on this, though. We do have, again, an area of very broad rotation on this Otisville storm, and it's currently just a couple of miles to the east of Otisville, just a couple of miles outside of Columbiaville, and we'll continue to move towards Columbiaville. Can we pull up the rotation on that right now, Matt? And what you'll see here is that we do have the red and green mixing together for us. It's a small area in general. It doesn't look currently as strong, but it's not necessarily about the size. It's the kind of organization. And when they're as close as they are, what we're going to do here, even though we don't necessarily have a tornado warning at this time, we encourage anyone within the Columbiaville area, Oregon, down near Mayfield, even Deerfield Township, not a bad idea there, to take a shelter in the most interior room on the lowest floor of a building. And there's a zoom in on that just outside of Columbiaville there. It's the red and the greens mixing together. It's a weaker but tighter area of rotation that we're keeping an eye on with the storm.
Certainly, and the fact that we're still seeing that rotation certainly is a reason to be concerned about this storm. This rotation is even closer to about Wilson Road and Washburn Road. Washburn Road, once again, that's your county line right between Genesee and Lapeer counties. That rotation is heading towards the south and east. Kyle, do we happen to have a speed on that storm that's listed in our severe thunderstorm warning?
Yeah, give me just 1 second. I can pull it up here for you. Again, this is outside of Columbiaville here, and it is currently already past Otisville, but if you know where any of those locations are, that's what we're keeping an eye on as far as this particular storm here. And essentially with this storm, it's possible here that we do have some weak rotation on this at the moment. And again, Matt, the area of that storm that we're keeping an eye on here, that storm looks to be moving about southeast or so at about 22 miles per hour. And again, that's outside of Columbiaville here for us right now. We do have another alert from the National Weather Service. Let me double check to see if that's for us. Okay, so this is for northern Oakland County, so this is outside of mid-Michigan. But again, lots of severe weather going across parts of the area for us right now. And again, I'm very interested in that Otisville storm right now, or the Columbiaville storm now rather, outside of Flint there, north of Flint, and it is north of Lapeer as well. And it likely will stay north of both of those areas, the higher metropolitan areas there, but still keeping an eye on this as it moves through parts of now northern Lapeer County. Absolutely,
and we did just get a brand new radar scan on the storm. We're once again looking at the wind shear map. This allows us to really hone down on where some of those tighter rotations are within this storm. We're seeing that rotation right now just to the west of Columbiaville. I've extended our cone out about 20 minutes from now, so this will take us to around the Deerfield Church of Christ at 3:10, Mill School at 3:13. So that is going to be crossing over M24. Looks like if you're in Deerfield Township, at least you'll catch the northern edge of some of those stronger winds. And we just got another radar scan, a brand new one once again. So we'll go ahead and update you even on this timing a little bit further. This storm is still included in that severe thunderstorm warning. We're now seeing that rotation right between Oregon and Columbiaville. And once again, this is still heading towards M24. It's looking like this may even come close to the Mayfield area too. We'll take this out about 18 minutes from now, including Valentine School at 3:08 and then Lapeer International Dragway, that's at 3:14. If you happen to live by those locations, know that this storm, this rotation with this, which could actually possibly produce a weak tornado, that is certainly heading in your direction at the moment. And we want to just play it safe with this, urging you caution if you're located in any of these areas.
That's right. And essentially what we initially came on the air before there was even a tornado warning for the original storm, because we were seeing this rotation. So again, there is not currently a tornado warning for this storm. We do still have a tornado warning though for parts of mid-Michigan. That's over in Sanilac County right now. Let's take a jog over there and take a look at this storm, because we're still tracking it. It is still tornado warned, and it is now currently just a few miles to the south and east of Sandusky. And one of the things that we've been talking about here though is the reds and the greens mixing together for us. That warning still is in effect till 3:15 p.m. And again, we've been talking about the reds and greens mixing together, but as you can see, there is not a lot of red and green mixing together there. So we're not seeing a whole lot of rotation there, but we again are still tracking this, and it is now a couple of miles to the south and to the east of Sandusky. And so we do have a little bit of what we call inflow here, and so that's the bright reds that you're seeing there on the leading edge of that storm. That means the air is still taking in deep breaths, and that's essentially what it needs to start the tornado production process, but it hasn't been able to organize those breaths of fresh air just enough to do anything with them, is essentially how you can think about that. So we do still have, again, a weak area of potential rotation just to the south and east of Sandusky, continuing to move off to the south and east towards Applegate here. Matt, can we get a zoom in here and we can kind of take a look at some of the towns that we have, and is now past M19 to the south of M46 here by a couple of miles. And you see Carsonville here up on M46. It is passing to the south of that, and we got a few areas of very weak rotation where you can see the red and the green mixing together here, likely just to the north of Cache it'll pass, and again continuing here off to the south and east. And that's a rough direction of where we're going to go here. And you see Applegate included in this, towards Ridge School there at 322 rather, and the Butler School here in just a few minutes is where that's going to pass. So if you know any of these landmarks, you are potentially in the path of this area of rotation on this tornado warned storm. So it's encouraged that you find yourself in the most interior room on the lowest floor of a building.
Absolutely. And Kyle, I'm going to go ahead and put our ruler on this real quick, just where we are seeing this rotation. This storm is roughly about 12 miles away from M25 and the shoreline. It does look like the rotation on this tornado warned storm is going to go to the south of Carsonville. It's also going to go to the south of Port Sanilac. Now, certainly if you're in those locations, you're still under the tornado warning, so you're still at least going to want to keep an eye on this and be ready to head to shelter if need be. But if this storm does still travel on its more straight line trajectory that it has so far, in about 12 miles with the storm traveling at about 25 miles per hour, that means it's going to take about 30 minutes for the rotation of this storm to eventually reach M25 and the shoreline, and then eventually make its way out over into Lake Huron.
Yes, so good news once it finally exits mid-Michigan over Lake Huron there for us. And again, keeping a close eye on the tornado warned storm, it is currently not suggesting that anything is imminent at this time, but again, here's the big picture for us. We've got several strong thunderstorms, and it's not just the areas of rotation that we're keeping an eye on. We've got some strong winds there, 50 to potentially 60 miles per hour. We've had some hail, and I don't really think it's the biggest just hail, but we probably have a lot of it coming through there. Sounds like we're getting a new update here. We
new
do have
tornado
a
warning.
new tornado warning. So this is the Columbiaville and the Otisville storm that we've been talking about. It is currently now tornado warned. Matt, if you want to get the map ready, I will go ahead and read off this alert here for you. Again, this is a tornado warning for central Lapeer County in southeastern Michigan until 3:45 p.m. At 3:02, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Columbiaville, moving east at 25 miles per hour. The hazard here is a potential tornado and quarter-sized hail. Again, the impact here, flying debris could be dangerous to those caught without shelter. Mobile homes will be damaged or destroyed. Again, this is if that tornado actually does end up touching down here. Find yourself in the lowest floor, most interior room of a building. Put yourself as far away from the outside of the building that you're in as possible.
And certainly stay away from those windows too. The flying debris that's possible with these stronger wind gusts and the rotation that is being observed in the storm. And I'll go back to that rotation again. It's near the Columbiaville area, has actually just passed right near Columbiaville, is still pretty much between Deerfield Township and Oregon. Those wind speeds are still capable of picking up smaller objects in your yard, say a house or maybe a patio umbrella, and it actually is strong enough that it could pick it up and send it right through those windows. So that's definitely why you want to stay away from these windows. If you're located near M24 to the south of Deerfield Township, you are going to want to head to shelter within the next few minutes.
I've got some roads here for you at the moment. So the rotation is currently just a couple of miles, just a few miles outside of Columbiaville here to the east, and it will eventually be passing over North Lapeer Road, Norway Lake Road. We're at Columbiaville Road here as well, and it'll continue off to the south and to the east, East Norway Lake Road. We're also looking at Mill Road and White Road there as well. Continuing off to the south and east here, Kings Mill Road and towards Five Lakes, Scott Road, Mott Road, and Schultz Road down there to the south and east. So it's going to continue. Again, if you are near the Lapeer State Game area, the Wolverine Christian Service Camp, any of these locations, if they sound familiar to you, these are areas that are currently under that tornado warning. Kings Mill also included in this. Let's see if I can get any more towns out of here. North Branch is just outside of that tornado warning. So if you are near North Branch, the tornado rotation area that we're keeping an eye on will pass to your south. Burnside also included in this, as is Lum, Goodland, and Imlay City, way off to the south and east. So you've got some time down there, but it is a good idea to take those precautions right now. Have your weather radio on standby. If you can't stay on TV here with us, have your weather radio on standby and get to the most interior room on the lowest floor of a building.
Thank you, Kyle. And also are urging you to use WNEM.com as well. If you're still able to take your phone with you, maybe you have to head away from the TV. In the weather alert section on WNEM.com, we're still going to have these tornado warnings, the information for these warnings, some timing for some of those towns too, and also the First Alert weather app. You're able to get those warnings right to your phone up to the minute, and you can also track the radar right on your phone as well. So certainly some good tools if you do have to step away from the TV here within the next few minutes. So once again, we have a brand new tornado warning right through Lapeer County. We've been watching this storm for the last couple of minutes now. This storm does have some rotation on it, and Kyle, looking at this rotation, certainly is still staying quite organized, I would say. Even though it is a bit more broad, it is still organized.
And so that's the thing. That's the difference between this tornado warned storm and the other one that we have still for parts of Sanilac County. We'll look at that here in just a moment. What we have here is a organized area that's still broad. So what it needs to be is organized but also tight. It is currently not tight rotation, but imagine a figure skater, and when they bring their arms in, they spin faster. That's essentially what this needs to do, and before it produces a tornado, and it is not currently doing that right now. It does have some broad organized rotation on it though, and again, we're still tracking that other tornado warning that has since been updated, and it's been made a little bit smaller here. And what we're keeping an eye on here is this area of rotation likely moving into Carsonville here shortly. Can we pull up that the first tornado warning here that we still have for parts of mid-Michigan? Again, that is in Sanilac County, not far from the Lake Huron shoreline right now. So Matt's going to drag it over there, and again, that's that black outline that you can see. Very strong storm in here, so we've got a lot of heavy rain moving through there, but also some hail and some stronger winds in there as well. So we're keeping an eye on that. A lot of lightning in this, and again, we're looking at Carsonville here, just to the north of Applegate. Port Sanilac is also included in this, and you can see this right here is M46. It is currently just to the south, Matt. If we pull up the rotation tracker, we can see right where those reds and greens are, and it does look like in the last couple of scans ones, we might have a little bit more organization. I still think what we mostly have here is the strong straight line winds coming down through here. This is kind of what we call gusting out, where we've got this push of wind coming out from the storm that isn't necessarily associated with rotation, but the fact that we still have the reds and greens mixing together here, Matt, does indicate that we still have a tornado threat with this. We'll continue off to the south and east towards the Lake Huron shoreline within the next few minutes.
Absolutely, and just getting you another measurement on where this rotation is, we're now only about 9 miles from M25 and the shoreline of Lake Huron. So that storm still moving there at about 25 miles per hour. So that does suggest that we still have anywhere from around 15 to 20 minutes before that rotation is able to make its way actually out over, rather offshore and over Lake Huron. That tornado warning is going until 3:15 this afternoon. So we only have 7 minutes left on the tornado warning, but even with our most recent scan on the radar that we just got in here about a minute ago or 30 seconds ago, we are still seeing the rotation, certainly still indicating some stronger wind gusts that we are seeing out of this. And I'm going to go ahead and highlight this on the map for you with these arrows. So this is heading essentially right towards Applegate. We actually are only just outside of Applegate by about 4 miles. So if you're in Applegate right now, this storm is only going to take just a couple of minutes to get to you. You'll want to head indoors, head to shelter right now. If you know anybody who's in the Applegate area and even to the east of there who might be outdoors right now, definitely just let them know that the storm is on the way and that you will need to head to shelter. I'm going to go ahead and take us back over to our other storm that we have into Lapeer County. This is also another tornado warned storm that we're seeing in Lapeer County. This red box that you're seeing on your screen that's still highlighting locations such as Mayfield, Deerfield Township, Oregon, Arcadia, even just to the north of Attica, Emily City, and Goodland. These are certainly locations that are all included within this tornado warning for the time being. I'll pull our radar, or rather our rotation tracker back up just so we can see where the rotation on this tornado warned storm is. We're starting to see this rotation right now, right over M24 and just over to the west of 5 Lakes. We're going to go ahead and head over to our other weather radar computer as well. Kyle is looking at a few more things on that computer for the time being. And Kyle, what are you seeing over there as of right now?
Yeah, so let's jump. What we should do here, Matt, because we've got 2 tornado warned storms, I think that we do have a little bit of a strengthening rotation in the first tornado warned storm. Let's just bounce back and forth here. What I think that we have here in the most recent scans on this first tornado warning that is, again, outside of Carsonville and is just to the north and west of Applegate in Sanilac County. You can see Port Sanilac there. We are keeping an eye on this because it does, again, have a history of producing some stronger rotation here. And you can see the reds and greens mixing together. Again, I do think that part of this could be due to just some strong straight line winds kind of, if you will, smashing into the area of inflow. But again, the reds and greens mixing together here, that's what I'm keeping an eye on. And this is your rotation tracker. So when the reds and greens are mixing, that does indicate that we have some rotation in there. And again, this storm is still tornado warned. And one thing you'll notice here is that the area of rotation is almost sinking a little bit outside of the current tornado warning. Well, maybe a little bit closer to Applegate here than potentially in some of the more the scans prior. And so it does appear to have a slight turning there to the right, which would make it down towards the south. So places like Applegate, even if you aren't in that tornado warning, it is a good idea to still seek shelter as the storm will continue. Here in a few minutes, it will finally be out over open Lake Huron. Matt, I'll hand it back off to you for the Lapeer storm.
Absolutely. We're still watching this Lapeer storm as of right now. We just got a brand new scan in from the radar. I'm going to put another cone on this moving towards the south and east. We'll take this out about 27 minutes from now. Just want to include a few locations here. So this includes places like Fish Lake School, 327 for Arcadia. We have 330 for Lum. We have 331 for Castle Creek Golf Club, and then 335 for Cole School. If you live near any of those locations, or if you happen to know where they're at, if they're nearby for you, this rotation is still going to be heading your way. This, once again, is a tornado warned storm right through the central part of Lapeer County. The storm is moving towards the east and the south-southeast at around 25 miles per hour. We just saw the rotation on that storm move right over M24, so it's now just to the east of M24, right between Deerfield Township and Mayfield. This, again, still heading towards these eastern sections of Lapeer County at this point. And even if you're closer to M53, 3 in Lapeer County, I think it would still be a good idea to at least be prepared that you may have to head to shelter, especially if the storm is still able to hold together and show the rotation that it has been showing so far. I'm going to go ahead and pull up our rotation tracker once again, putting this into motion. We're seeing how the storm is moving towards the Five Lakes area and just to the south of Five Lakes too. Arcadia at the moment is pretty much right directly in line with the storm, and I'll go ahead and measure just how many miles away we are from Arcadia. Only about 6 miles with the storm moving at 25 miles per hour. That would put us there in right about 10 to 12 minutes from now. We're still tracking 2 tornado warned storms at the moment. We have our one that we're looking at on your screen right now in Lapeer County, another one in Sanilac County. That storm is just moving ever so closer to the shoreline of Lake Huron. Kyle, are you happening to see any new updates with that storm too?
Kind of the same as the last time when we checked in on this storm. We still have a broad area that could be some rotation in there, the reds and greens mixing together. You got some times here pulled up on your screen. We actually just got a new scan. We'll look at that here in a moment. We've got Applegate here in just a few minutes at 3:19, Ridge School at 3:23, Mount Pleasant Church, again this is in Sanilac County, not Isabella. This is Mount Pleasant Church here at 3:25 p.m. and Flood Platts there at 3:27, and shortly after that it will finally be out over Lake Huron. So let's take a zoom in here, and it does appear that we have some pretty significant mixing between the reds and greens, but again what I think that we're actually seeing here is not necessarily rotation, more so probably some straight line winds moving down through the area of the storm that was pulling in that air. That's why we have the mixing of the reds and greens there for us. So we're still keeping an eye on this, but at this time I do think that it's more likely to be associated with just some of the strong mixing of winds just because of the outflow. And if you pay attention here, you can kind of see that we've got some motion off to the south and east as this kind of storm expands a little bit to the south. And what that suggests to me is that we've got some outflow coming underneath the area of rotation. So Matt, again, keeping a really close eye on this storm, as I do still think that the tornado warning is warranted, and we do still have a threat for a quick potential spin up here going towards Applegate here very shortly and eventually out over Lake Huron. But I think that overall, I think that the best tornado threat, or rather the worst tornado threat, is likely just off to the other side of mid-Michigan there in your Lapeer County storm.
Thank you, Kyle, for that update. Yes, we're still watching our storm in Lapeer County at the moment. This is a tornado-warned storm. This is moving right through the central parts of Lapeer County. We're still watching that rotation. You can see it there on your rotation tracker, the reds and the greens that are next to each other. This just crossed over M24 only a few minutes ago and is traveling towards the southern parts of Five Lake and also heading towards Arcadia. If you're located in Arcadia, you'll want to start to prepare to head to shelter because we are still seeing this rotation heading towards you. This is a tornado-warned storm, so it is going to have that possibility to spin up a tornado right here in the central parts of Lapeer County. So once again, you see those reds and those greens still moving right through the central parts of the county, all in, within that warning, and we are just over to the east of M24. Notice on our wind shear map, and once again, the wind shear map is just showing where our rotation tracker has an even sharper area of rotation. Some of these winds that are a bit more active right on the front of that line that you're seeing, that orange line between Five Lakes and Mayfield, that's where we have that possibility of seeing a tornado spawning out of that storm. It actually looks like a quick update here. The tornado warning in Sanilac County has now expired. There is no more tornado warning on that. Certainly a strong storm, and just want to highlight our tornado warning that we're still seeing in central Lapeer County. So this is including the central and northern parts of that, or rather not the northern parts, but anywhere essentially south of Brown City. That goes until 3:45 this afternoon. But even that storm in Sanilac County that was tornado warned with that warning that just expired about a minute ago, you can still see a lot of those purples, those pinks, the magentas, still indicating some heavy rain out of that storm that's moving just to the south of M46, right towards M25 and the shoreline of the Thumb. That storm is still going to be bringing you quite some heavy downpours, really a torrential rain out of that, and even some hail is going to be possible with that storm too. There is still a bit of a rotation on that. Actually looks like, Kyle, looks like the tornado warning on that storm was just updated just now.
Okay, Matt, yeah, real quick, let's jump over here while you're getting that fixed. We do have a new tornado warning that has been reissued. So what happened here is they changed the previous tornado warning, as it is 3:15, so it expired, and they have since updated it. So here's a look at that new tornado warning. That does include parts of Port Sanilac, Peck, Croswell, and Applegate, some of the larger towns here. It includes M90, parts of M19 and M25 there right along the shoreline of Lake Huron. Again, that is a new tornado warning on the previous storm that we were keeping an eye on. Let's go ahead and pull up that radar here and take a look at this very strong storm moving down into this area. And again, as we were talking the last time we checked in on this storm, it turned down to the right there a little bit, and so we've seen a little bit of a change in storm motion here. And what that means here is that we've got a little bit of a different perspective as far as where the area of rotation is. And again, I still think it's near Applegate here, this area of rotation that we have moving down through parts of mid-Michigan. Again, this is in Sanilac County here. This is a new tornado warning in the same area that the previous one was, but it was extended down to the south a little bit here. And again, I think that most of this is likely due probably to the mixing of that outflow wind with the inflow wind, not necessarily in a manner that would be associated with rotation, but we can still see the turbulence and a quick spin up here. And so again, you can see the Applegate here just to the south and east. And if we kind of draw out where this is expected to go here over the next few minutes, it will likely continue off in this direction here, that area of rotation. So we're looking at Arnold Field here at 327, and then we're also looking at Croswell at 328, 330 at Croswell Lexington High School. Lakeville Hills Golf Resorts, if you know where that is, the north course is at 3:33 p.m. and then eventually down towards Lexington there shortly after 3:30 at 3:35. So we're keeping an eye on this. Again, Matt, this is a new tornado warning for parts of mid-Michigan. We do still have an area that doesn't necessarily scream immediate danger to me right now, but we are still keeping a close eye on this. No matter what, we definitely still have some strong winds associated with this. So if you are within anywhere that you're seeing on our maps here, or if you just got that new tornado warning on your phone, it is a great idea that you find yourself in the lowest floor of a building in the most interior room. Matt?
Yeah, absolutely, Kyle. Thank you again for that update over in Sanilac County. We're still tracking our severe warned and rather tornado warned storm that's moving through the central parts of Lapeer County right now. Notice that our storm in Lapeer County that's heading towards Arcadia is actually starting to get even a bit stronger there. Here's our rotation tracker showing that we're still seeing that rotation evident just to the west of Arcadia. We're seeing the green and that red, that couplet right next to each other. Those are winds traveling away and towards the radar. But if you're located just to the west of Arcadia, you'll need to be heading to shelter right now. I actually just want to show you our wind shear tracker too. Once again, this is showing where we're seeing even that tighter rotation within the storm. So that right now, these oranges that you're indicating, that's going to be that counterclockwise rotation where it's possible that a tornado is forming within the storm. That's just to the south of Five Lakes, heading just to the south of Kings Mill and towards Arcadia. I actually just want to draw here how many miles we are. We're only about 2 to 3 miles outside of Arcadia. The storm's still traveling at around 25 miles per hour. So that does mean less than 10 minutes from now that we'll be into the Arcadia area. And I'll go ahead and zoom this out just a bit more and put another cone on this too, so just so we can get a better idea, or rather get just a few more locations within a few more locations with where this rotation is heading as well. We'll go ahead and take our ruler off of there and put our cone on here. This storm where we're seeing that rotation, again, this is just to the west of Arcadia, and we'll take this right over to the county line for Lapeer County. This includes Arcadia at about 3:26, so in about 6 minutes, that's where we'll see that moving through. We have 3:29 for Lum. We have 3:30 for Castle Creek Golf Club, 3:34 for Cole School, 3:38 for Goodland, 3:39 for Walker School, 3:43 for Abbott School, and then 3:45 for Flansburgh School. So if you live near any of these locations, or if you know where they are and again happen to live near them, definitely want to head to shelter or be prepared to head for shelter as this tornado warned storm is moving through. Now I'll take us back to our warning map. Once again, we still have this tornado warning. The western edge of that has been scaled back. So just want to take a note here. Places like Otisville, Otter Lake, Oregon, even the really anywhere just about to the west of M24, you've now been scaled back out of this tornado warning, but the warning itself is still going until 3:45 this afternoon. Also Columbiaville, you are now out of this warning as well. Places like Mayfield, Arcadia, Goodland, and Emily City are still included in this tornado warning, but like we were just seeing on the radar, and I'll go ahead and pull this back up once again to our rotation. If you're located in Arcadia, that's where we do have that rotation heading towards you right now. That'll be there within about 4 minutes, so you'll need to head to shelter right now. For shelter, you want to find the innermost, centermost, and even lowest part of your house or dwelling. If you have a basement, that is preferred. If you don't have a basement, it's typically your first floor bathroom. Whichever room within your house on the first floor just has as many walls between it and the exterior of your house, and you want to get away from windows as well. With the stronger wind gusts even that we're still seeing within these storms, the rotating wind, really quite a chaotic wind that is still able to pick up small items within your yards, chairs, patio umbrellas, even trash cans.
Right.
That's why you want to get away from those windows, because it is able to pick those up and throw them right through those.
And we've actually got a perfect example of this. Can we take up Max 2 real quick? This is a video that just came in from a viewer of a strong thunderstorm moving over parts of Kingston. And what you're looking at here, that's a shelf cloud. So that's not tornadic, but it's that wind coming out from underneath of it. Look at the corn towards the end of the video. Some gusts here a little bit, and then right towards the end of the video, watch the corn just start to sweep across very shortly. That's the strong outflow wind that we're keeping an eye on as this storm continues to move towards the area. And again, we're looking at the Lapeer County area and in Sanilac County, where we're potentially looking at a storm just like this. Again, as far as the tornado warnings go, we're still keeping an eye on those areas that are actually rotating. That video there is not any rotation, but it is the strong winds that most areas, whether you're under a tornado warning or a severe thunderstorm warning, you will see.
Absolutely. And Kyle, going back here to our Lapeer County storm, this rotation continuing to move towards Arcadia. That'll be within Arcadia within about 3 minutes from now, so you'll want to head to shelter. But also just want to note something that we are getting through our National Weather Service chat room, where we are able to speak directly with them. We are actually getting a report from the Langston Fire Department that the power is out in Deerfield Township. The sirens ended up going away because of that power going down from this storm that's moving through Lapeer County. So certainly owing to how strong this storm is, and it is going to be able to damage some trees, possibly even damage some power lines too, or bring those trees right into those power lines. Once again, I want to put another cone on this storm just to show you our timeline for this storm as it continues to move towards the east. We are seeing the storm moving right around 25 miles per hour towards the south-southeast. So this is going to continue towards even the Goodland area, M53 just to the north of Embley City. I'm still taking this cone about 30 minutes from now, so that'll take us close to the county line. This has Lum at around 3:29 to 3:30, Cole School at 3:34, Goodland at 3:38, Walker School also at 3:38. Then we have 3:43 for Shepherd School, and this is Shepherd here in Lapeer County. This is not Shepherd towards central Michigan in near Gratiot and Isabella County. This is Shepherd in Lapeer County, 3:43 for Shepherd School, and then Flansburgh School, that's at 3:46 p.m. Kyle, sounds like you have another update over there, tracking more storms.
Yes, I want to take a zoom out here real quick on Max 2, and what we're going to look at is essentially the big picture here for us. 2 large severe thunderstorm warnings, still including parts of Tuscola, Lapeer, and Sanilac counties. We also still have 2 tornado warnings. The one that Matt was talking about just a few moments ago, that tornado warning there in Lapeer County, that includes parts of Deerfield Township, Imlay City, and Mayfield. And we also still have the tornado warning for Sanilac, which includes Lexington, Croswell, and Buell. We're going to take a zoom in on that storm right now, in particular the Sanilac County one. And as you can see, still some strong, very strong radar presentations from this storm right now. And we'll take a look at the rotation tracker. And at this time, again, what I still think we're looking at here, for the most part, are the strong outflow winds, like the video that we showed you just a few moments ago. I think that's what we're mostly looking at here. But because this storm has a history of having that rotation and having that inflow, that red that you see here on your screen, that I think is still why we have a tornado warning for this. Again, the Applegate area here, and then continuing towards Croswell and Lexington, I think that'll be the best chance for there potentially to be some quick organization. But as you'll notice here, we're really not all that far from the Lake Huron shoreline at this point, which is good news for us because it'll continue to move out of the area. Let's take a quick look here with the cone right now. It's a little difficult to pick an area because I think most of this is still outflow winds. Again, we're still looking at the Flood Plats area here within the next few minutes. We're looking at the Mount Pleasant Church. Again, this is in Sanilac County, not in Isabella County. The Mount Pleasant Church here, just a few miles from the shoreline of Lake Huron, and then Flood Plats there at 3:30, so in about 5 minutes, and then after that, it'll eventually be out of the area. But again, if you're in this tornado-warned storm and you are not in this little area here that we're keeping an eye on where we could have some rotation, that doesn't mean that you're not going to see some strong storms. As you can see, we still have this boundary between the red and green winds, so we still have quite a bit of an outflow boundary with this storm, and that's going to cause some strong winds in here. Let's kind of take a look at some of these winds that we have. Whether or not they're associated with rotation, they still could do some damage for us, so I got to turn off these warnings for us here real quick, and then we'll take a look. Again, even if you're not under one of these areas that could potentially be rotating, there's still some strong winds here, like just north of Applegate, potentially about 55 miles per hour or so, some of those stronger wind gusts. So again, we're still talking about the threat for some damaging winds here, whether or not you are included in one of these tornado warnings or under one of the potential areas where we have that severe weather. So again, real quick, what I'm going to do here, Matt, I'm going to do one real quick zoom out out here and we'll look at the big picture for us, and then I'll give it back to you. What we have at the moment here, guys, is 2 tornado warnings ongoing for parts of mid-Michigan, one in southern Sanilac County, and that area of rotation is almost out over Lake Huron. We've got a few more miles to go. 2 severe thunderstorm warnings for parts of Tuscola, northern Lapeer, northeast Genesee, and Sanilac counties, and then we also have that tornado warning in Lapeer. Matt?
Thank you, Kyle. Yes, once again for that update. So we're still tracking the Lapeer County storm, and I've really been paying particular attention to this storm as it has been strengthening or showing some signs of strengthening. Just want to get a couple of road names here. This is near M53 to the north of Goodland. So we have roads like Martin Road, Ewalt Road, Reside Road, Lothrop Road, and Lyons Road. Also looks like County Road 7 or Armstrong Road. If you're located on any of these roads right near M53, you're going to want to be heading to shelter right now, as we are still seeing the stronger storm moving through. This tornado warning in Lapeer County goes until 3:45 this afternoon. The core of the storm just started to pass near the Arcadia area, and is looking like the core of this may be able to go just to the north of Goodland, but still all approaching M53. Here's our rotation tracker. Once again, you see that rotation moving just to the south and the east of Arcadia. That rotation heading directly towards Goodland, and M53 right here again, Armstrong Road, one of those roads that we were seeing there. I want to take us over to our wind shear tracker too. This is again showing where we have some of that tighter rotation within that rotation that we're seeing on the storm. You see it just to the south of Arcadia. We'll go ahead and draw another cone here and take this cone all the way out to the county line for Lapeer County. That's about 20 minutes from now. So we're still seeing Lum included in this pretty much right now at 3:29. Castle Creek Golf Club at 3:30. If you're located near Cole School, that'll be there right around 3:34 p.m. Goodland, you'll see this rotation moving by right around 3:38. Walker School also at 3:38. We have Shepherd School at 3:43. And once again, this is Shepherd in Lapeer County. This is not Shepherd that's south of Mount Pleasant in central Michigan. This is Shepherd School in Lapeer County. And then we also have 3:46 for Flansburgh School. If you're located near any of these, this tornado warned storm that has this rotation, that has the potential to drop a tornado, is going to be heading towards those locations and through those locations at this time. Once again, you'll want to head to shelter, find the innermost or centermost part of your house, and also just making sure that you are staying away from those windows, because even the winds that we're seeing from this storm is still going to be able to pick up loose objects in your yard, small objects especially, things like chairs, patio umbrellas, trash cans, even if you happen to have any lawn or garden ornaments too that might be near the house, or even flower pots. This wind would be able to pick that up, toss that through those windows. That's why we're urging you to get away from those windows and take shelter from this storm. I'll go ahead and zoom back out once again here too. We have the radar overlaid on this. We have 2 tornado warnings right now in mid-Michigan. Looks like we have our tornado warning that's still over towards Sanilac County. And Kyle sounds like has an update here.
Yeah,
too.
I want to zoom in on this storm here really quick. Can we actually pull up the rotation tracker here for just a moment? It does appear that we might have a small area. Can we actually pull up the debris tracker here really quick? There is a small indication that there might be, yeah, you can see that here. So can we pause that for a quick second here, Matt? Take that to the most recent frame. So thankfully, we're only a couple of miles here actually from the border here of the Lake Huron shoreline. But this small area right here, essentially what we're looking at is a way to tell what the essentially the field of precipitation looks like. And when you get a small anomaly like this, it means that they're not the same size. So this could mean that we actually have potentially some debris. Now, Matt, as we were saying before, this is an elevated radar scan here, so it's not a good way to see right at the ground, but we might have some debris here. This does align with also a very small area of very tight rotation, a very small area there. And again, this is only a couple of miles here from the Lake Huron shoreline. Between Port Sanilac and down towards the intersection of 25 and 90, it'll eventually cross 90 and go out over open Lake Huron. It is possible here that we do actually have some debris lofted by this storm, which does mean there could actually be a tornado on the ground with this current storm here. Matt, can we pull up the velocity here real quick? And so let's take a look at this. Again, what we're keeping an eye on here. Yes, so that's it right there. Most recent frame. Again, you can see the tight, the greens and reds real tight there together. I do think we have a tornado on the ground right now. It is currently just to the east by about a mile here from M25. Again, this is the Lake Huron shoreline. Eventually it'll move out over the open water. And we do think that we have some debris here being lofted by this storm. Again, this is a tornado warning for parts of Sanilac County. There's not a whole lot of areas here. Let's get some roads for you at this time. Zoom in here. There's not a lot of roads in this area, thankfully, but it does look like that we have, so this is just outside of Applegate here. I do think that we have a tornado on the ground for parts of mid-Michigan. And again, there's a new update here, actually. It's still radar indicated for us at this time, but I do still think that we have some debris being lofted. It is over Greenling Road and Applegate Road, Derby Road, French Line Road, and Townsend Road there. I think it is actively crossing M24 right now, which is your Lakeshore Road, South Lakeshore Road, and I think it'll pass right over parts of Lake Huron here very shortly. Again, the tornado warning and what we're looking at here, that area that's circled, that is potential debris. We do potentially have a tornado warning, or rather a tornado on the ground for this storm just outside of Applegate, and it is thankfully only a few miles from passing out over open Lake Huron, about a mile there. Again, about to cross over M25. If you are anywhere within this area, you need to be underground in the most interior room, on the lowest floor of a building, or underground if possible. Again, Matt, you take a look at that.
Yeah, absolutely, Kyle. Once again, we'll go ahead and take a look at the rotation that we're seeing on the storm. You're seeing the wind shear tracker. So once again, this is showing that tight rotation. Very likely that a tornado is on the ground right now, right near M25. This is in the far eastern parts of Sanilac County. We're pretty much right on the shoreline here, about right now. Just want to try to get a couple more road names in here too. Once again, we have M25. We're seeing Babcock Road, Aitken Road, Whitsey Road, Townsend Road, as Kyle mentioned, and also County Farm Road. These are all located within here, so you'll definitely want to head to shelter if you're located here.
This right here is South Lakeshore Road, right on M25 here. So again, we are just seconds away from this crossing out over Lake Huron. In fact, Matt, with the next radar scan, I would be surprised if we see this move out. Now, we also think that we have a tornado on the ground, not only because we can see this, but in the last few scans on our debris tracker, it has also grown, suggesting that there are more debris being lofted. So Matt, can we pull up that debris tracker here real quick? Again, I'd like to see what the latest scan looks like. Again, likely tornado here on the ground. It potentially is now over open Lake Huron at this point. Can we pull up the velocity here once more? We might finally be seeing this out over. So this right here is the rotation, this area of red and green. So it's currently then the latest scan that's right over South Lakeshore Road there, right over parts of Lake Huron, and again, or the Lake Huron shoreline rather. So within the next couple of seconds, that area of rotation should be just outside of mid-Michigan there, out over open Lake Huron. Again, we do think there was a tornado on the ground with this. It may have since lifted, or if it hasn't yet, it'll be out over Lake Huron within the next couple of seconds here. And again, there's a couple of locations being popped up there on your screen. And again, within the next couple of seconds, it should be out over portions of open Lake Huron. And we'll check back on the other storm here in just a moment. But we do still have another tornado warning on the ground right now. But we do want to focus on this one, as it is likely that we do have a tornado on the ground with this, potentially now over open Lake Huron, or if not right now, it will be very shortly. Again, here's a few areas on your screen. So we're looking at Camp Cable, Camp Stapleton, and Sanilac County Lexington Park there. So again, keeping an eye on those as it continues to move outside of the area. I think we're seconds away from it being out over the water.
Absolutely, Kyle. We're less than a mile from the shoreline. We're essentially right on the shoreline with this rotation. Our next radar scan should be coming in here within about the next minute or two. And like Kyle mentioned, wouldn't be surprised if that rotation has passed through there. But once again, this is passing right near the Camp Cavell area, just to the north of Camp Stapleton, and also right near the Sanilac County Lexington Park too. So all in this area, you're definitely going to want to be heading to shelter if you are not already. There's very likely a tornado on the ground. We're seeing this indicated by the radar. We're also seeing this indicated by the rotation tracker that you're seeing here, those reds and those greens that are next to each other. I'm going to pull those locations off once again. Camp Stapleton and Camp Cavell. We're seeing that rotation right on M25 and right near the shoreline too. This is also right near where about we see looks like Wiltsey Road, just to the south of Townsend Road, and just to the north of Aitken Road. This is right where all of these are, right about junction with M25. This storm is moving right over into Lake Huron at the moment and should be moving out over to the water any minute now. And we're also still tracking this storm that's moving towards the east, and we're even seeing stronger wind gusts with this too, even just to the north of some of those locations like Camp Cavell and also excuse me for a second, Camp Stapleton and Camp Cavell. But some of these brighter greens that you're seeing is also indicating stronger wind gusts. These winds are still going to be strong enough to pick up any loose objects in this area. So all in all, the big message here is to still stay in your sheltered place for the time being. Let the storm get out over into Lake Huron, get out into the water before heading back out of your safe space.
Yeah, so Matt, exactly. We're still watching this, and it is likely now moving out over Lake Huron right now. The area of rotation is this axis right here between the red and the green, likely right over here, and there's the wind shear. Very strong wind shear here, so we do have some rotation in here, and again, it is likely now starting to move out over Lake Huron. One possibility here is because of the boundary between the land and the water that forms in the air. It might slow down a little bit and hang out there for a second, but more than likely, and I think of the latest scan of our debris tracker, Matt, we don't see necessarily the clearest signature that we had a few minutes ago, so it's very possible that this has now backed out over the open water, and it does look to be that way. We've got more of a uniform field here, which means there's likely not some debris. One thing I do want to do, though, Matt, is can we go back to the Lapeer County storm just for a moment? I think this has started to exit the area, and we're still keeping an eye on this Lapeer County storm that does have some rotation on it as well. The severe thunderstorm warning has been extended out here for southern Sanilac County for this guy, and it is just near Goodland here. One nice thing about this storm is that we do see a weakening in that rotation, Matt.
Absolutely, Kyle. Seen a weakening on this, and I just want to update you on this tornado warning. Once again, we have seen this scaled back even more. This tornado warning still goes until 3:45, so we only have about 7 minutes left on that tornado warning. It still does include Arcadia, Goodland, and Emily City, although at this point we have seen the rotation, at least the core of the rotation of the storm passing by Arcadia. I'll go ahead and pull up the radar here too, but even though Arcadia is included in this tornado warning, it looks like you may be out of the woods at this point. Yes, indeed. If you're located near Arcadia, it does look like the core of that storm has passed by, but we're seeing this moving right over M53 and right near Goodland too. We'll pull up our rotation tracker once again just to show you, and we'll actually pull up our cone with this too and take this cone out. This is still going at about 25 miles per hour towards the south-southeast, so we are expecting the core of the storm to move into Sanilac County here. Actually, this may even be the northern portions of St. Clair County. This does really only include United Brethren Church at 357. That is in St. Clair County, but we are still tracking that storm. It is still currently located in eastern Lapeer County, right between Goodland and Emily City, right along M53.
Yes, and so thankfully there appears to be a little bit of a relaxation with that storm right now. As you can see, the reds and greens, they're not as strong as they were a little bit ago. But as we just seen with the other tornado warning, this is likely to cycle, and we're likely to potentially pick this back up here. One thing I want to do is go back to the other storm real quick if we can, Matt, that was potentially had a tornado on the ground. This tornado warning is still in place, and what we're seeing here, I think, is just as what I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, how the boundary between the air mass over the land and over the water has kind of slowed this thing down a little bit to the point where we might see this just kind of hang around right near the shore here for a minute. It does appear that it is mostly out over the water right now. I don't think the threat is over with this, though, right now. If you are near the Lake Huron shoreline between Port Sanilac and Lexington, you still need to be in your safe place right now. Most interior room on the lowest floor of a building because of this area of rotation. One thing that we have seen here is that this storm did produce a debris signature when it was back on shore. And with this storm, we still see that it has some pretty strong rotation, as Matt has just pointed out here for us. We've got winds coming from the south here. We've got a decent amount of shear in this storm, and winds here coming back around. So what we have is still some rotation within this storm. It does have a history of potentially producing a tornado, as we saw on the debris tracker. We had some tight rotation there for a time, and so potentially some debris there on the radar. And so even though this has technically started to move out over the shoreline, this black line, this is the shoreline. And if you're familiar with the area, we've got M25 right here, so that's right along the Lake Huron shore. This is now technically moved out over the shore, but because of the dynamics of this storm and because we've got the boundary between both the water and the land, it is possible that this kind of wobbles around here for a little bit, Matt, and takes a little bit longer to finally move out over the water. So we're going to keep a close eye on this, but other than that, and there's another scan for you, continuing to move that out over open Lake Huron, so that's a great sign for us, but no all clear for that yet.
Absolutely, and I just want to bring up our wind shear tracker once again too. So the wind shear tracker, if you're just joining us, this is what shows us where the tightest rotation within this storm is, and And we are starting to see the tightest part of that rotation making its way out into Lake Huron. So that is good news. I would still agree with Kyle that this is not a completely all clear yet. If you're right along M25 and pulling up just a few locations again, we have places like Camp Cavell, Camp Stapleton, looks like North Point Cabin, the Sanilac County, Lexington Park. If you're located near any of these spots, Sunset Drive and even County Farm Road, you're still going to want to stay in your shelter. Give this about another 5 minutes at least to let this make its way out into Lake Huron.
Yeah, so we're very close to this, I think, finally being out over the water if it hasn't gotten there already. An update here, the tornado warning that was in Lapeer County, as we were talking about, hasn't really fixed itself on the map yet, but it has recently been canceled and is now ended. So even though it does show up on the map there here in a couple of seconds, it will eventually come off the map there. But again, right now there is no imminent threat for a tornado in mid-Michigan. The area that we were keeping an eye on has started to move out over open Lake Huron, and we're now seeing the other area weak enough to the point where it is now, the tornado warning has been canceled. So right now, no imminent threat for us for a tornado.
Absolutely. I'll go ahead and turn off just these boxes one last time here. But once again, I have seen these tornado warnings being canceled, and our storm in Sanilac County has moved out over into the lake. At this point here, still tracking some stronger storms that are severe thunderstorm warned, like the one in southern Tuscola County and northern Lapeer County. But at this point, with our tornado warnings coming to an end, I think we'll go ahead and send this back to regular programming. We have the news at 4 coming up here in just about 18 minutes. Stay tuned for that too. Kyle's certainly going to bring you more on the forecast.
We'll be keeping a close eye because we still have more storms throughout the rest of the afternoon, so we'll keep a close eye on it.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Thank you. We'll sign off now. Thank you.
We have this little storm back here still.